for me, he's super unique because he did it all the way through his youth career, whether it was playing for France in the FIBA events, playing in that French league for the Metropolitans his last year before he got drafted. And then what he was able to do as a rookie, being as young as he was with his frame being so slight still, he was very, very productive. It wasn't like he came in with bad like Alex Sarr, for example.
Sure.
I thought, I'd be nervous if I were the Hawks with him. Like his numbers were terrible in summer league, and like, it's not a big sample size, but it's also not nothing. I'd be, whereas Wemby came in, he dominated summer league. Rookie of the year. I can't remember if he got defensive player of the year, but he averaged 3 or 4 blocks.
I mean, Gobert
got it. But that won't last very long. I mean, he definitely is a guy that I think we could look back on, in 15 years and be like, he's everything people expected him to be. He was worth the hype early on. He's a guy I know. Like when we talk about value in card collecting, like I'm not sure that. Like he to me is like Google of stocks. Like like the value's already really high. Like people understand but he's also so good that I think you hold him like it's just going to continue to go up. And that's why I purchased one of his.
You got it there.
Let me see if I got this thing. Where's this bad boy? But he's a guy that again I think we'll look back on and be really excited about in the future. So where did I put that thing? It's here somewhere.
Jeff might have put it in his back pocket.
Yeah.
Where did we put
it? We had it out.
Yeah, it's here somewhere.
It's probably in there.
There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, but here you go.
PSA 1010.
1010 auto.
The kids will call it, Coach, they'll call it a PSA 20.
Is that what we call it? Yeah, we call it these days?
So double dime, they say sometimes. So this is a Wembanyama first autograph, the base auto, which to me is one of the most unique cards for him because he doesn't have anything licensed in any jersey outside of this card.
Right.
So some people are saying, is this his true rookie card? Is his draft day Topps Now card, which he was in a suit, his true rookie card? Is the Topps Chrome card that came out that has a rookie card symbol on his true rookie card?
But no jersey, right?
Right, no,
yeah,
but
no
it's
licensing.
not licensing.
Right.
So when you look at this card, and I think this is really his college autograph rookie card. Jameel Muhammad and Jeff Cardozo dive into the hobby, which is sports cards, trading cards, as well as all other collectibles, right now on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast, live from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
Hey everybody, it is that time once again live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and we are inside the podcast room. It is the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. He is Jameel Muhammad. I am Jeff Cardozo. Happy you are joining us once again. We've got another fun show for you and another great guest. Michael Collins last week was very funny, very into a lot of different things that we had some fun with. And today we get Todd Golden, the men's basketball coach at the University of Florida, not only doing some great things on the court, but Jameel, I know he quite frequents the shop, and he and his son have pulled some good stuff lately.
Todd and Jacob are avid mealy poppers. So
nice.
They have been in and they love basketball and baseball cards. So I'm sure he's got some cool stories for us. Back-to-back weeks we have in-house guests.
Yeah.
That's been nice. And I got to shout out Michael Collins. I didn't say much last week about the Eagles. I just kept my mouth shut. Nothing else I got to say.
Thank you, Baker.
Yeah,
helped
thank
my
you, Baker.
fantasy team.
Thank you, Baker.
He was very good, and gosh, Jalen Hurts. Saquon didn't have a good game, but there may be more issues up there.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Than what's had, but again, that fluid up and down of what cards can do and different things are happening. We'll certainly talk about some of those things, and maybe Shohei's cards continue to go up because he did pull off 50-50, and what a great final day of Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
I'm a Braves fan, of course. They needed to win one, and they did, but that game that the Mets won, how about that?
Yeah.
Gosh, it was 3-0 Braves, and all of a sudden Mets put up 6. Braves put up 4 to take a 1-run lead, and then Lindor. Who has resurrected things. He's been really good in New York. Hits the game-winning 2-run homer. So that's fun about Major League Baseball. But to see the Braves pull it off without Acuna, without Spencer Strider, who they lost at the very beginning of the year. Sale was supposed to pitch that second game. He might now be out with back spasms. Riley gets hurt. Albies was hurt throughout most of the year. So credit to Brian Snitker and getting some stuff done there.
As much as it pains me, congrats on
nice,
getting in. 7 years straight, I think it is, or something like that, Braves. And so it'll be interesting to see. It seems like if you win your division in the major leagues, you never make the World Series. So these teams that squeak in kind of get that momentum going, and they get the wild card game ahead. I think it's a very interesting setup, how the MLB has changed things, because you're starting to see some of those teams make some deep runs. So we'll see what happens with the Braves. Pitching is obviously key, Who's your pick for the World Series? I mean, if you pick the Braves, I'll be okay with that. But, I mean, I'd like to hear what you really think. Yeah, no, NL, AL, who you got?
Probably a lot of Braves fans will be upset, but I think the Phillies are the team. Really good season. Obviously, the pitching, as you mentioned, have been really, really good, and we'll see if they can pull it off. I'm just not sure if the Dodgers have enough pitching, but certainly they've got the offense.
Enough hitting.
They have that. Well, speaking of hitting, another sad news earlier this week as Pete Rose, the hit king, has passed away, 83 years old. And, I mean, I wish he would have gotten in the Hall of Fame. I'm one of those guys that steroid guys should be in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame. It's just what they do on the field, on the court, whatever you do professionally, I just think that's how it should be judged. And you got a guy with more hits than anybody in the entire universe, and he doesn't get that opportunity. But for many, many years, Charlie Hustle, that's what he did. I mean, we're just growing up watching the guy slide head first and just go hard and balls to the wall constantly.
He was
and
always tough.
You kind of live like that, and just if you knew that you were going to maybe make it to the big league someday or be that type of person, then you wanted to play like Pete Rose did.
Yeah. Do you, just kind of a question out of right field here, but do you think there will be a momentum now that he's passed to try and get him in?
Yeah, probably, which sucks because he doesn't get that opportunity. And to me, it was all a farce anyway, because if you know history and you go back into it, he finished up in the mid-'80s, around 86, I think, was his last year. They made the vote in 91 to change the rules of what the Hall of Fame was, and that was basically the year that he would have been allowed to be inducted in. So that was really tough. And I know Pete always was going to Cooperstown. He was signing a bunch of autographs. His autographs may not be worth a lot because he probably signed so many. I mean, you would know that more than me, but I fortunately did get one back in the day.
What's it say on there?
That's 4256.
Ooh, you even have the inscription.
Yeah, how many hits he finished with.
By the way, Pete Rose has a beautiful autograph.
Yeah, very good.
We'll impose the autograph here on this hat on the screen here.
Yeah,
but
just the way the circles are.
And how he did that on a hat. Think how hard it is to sign a hat.
Yeah.
I mean, those are really tough signs, and that's a beautiful signature. Pete Rose was obviously an icon in so many ways. When we were up in, even at the Cleveland Card Show, the National this year, had people talking about just what he meant to the Red Sox. People from Cincinnati, of course, came to the show, and you hear a lot about Pete Rose, even in 2024, right? So he has been milled a little bit in terms of his autograph. He's done a lot of signings with things like Leaf and other companies. But what I will say about Pete Rose is, like just last night, I think we had 3 cards on our eBay sale of him, so there's, for full value. And so there is going to be a hype. This always happens. I hate it when it does happen, where people will just inflate the prices of autographs. It's just a natural, I guess, progression in how people think, well, I can't get that again, so I'm going to buy it. Now, Pete Rose has a lot of cards, and I think they'll eventually come back down. But a hobby slant on this would be, if you could find something that was autographed by Pete, like this, a really unique hat with an inscription, you could find a really unique card, older card, top 70s card, 80s card, something like that, with an inscription on it. Those kinds of things, I think, do have very lasting value.
Okay.
So it's not one of these things where all of his autographs are cheap. But going from one gentleman who passed to another scholar, and Dikembe Mutombo. Right? I mean, we all know the finger wag. We all know what he was about. I brought a card today. This is a autographics card from back in the day when he was on the Hawks.
Oh, sweet.
So after I heard the news, I went to YouTube to just go reminisce a little bit about some of his blocks. And there was this game where Clarence Weatherspoon on the 76ers was in the post. I think he blocked him like 4 straight times. It was quite amazing. And during the block, he literally threw his finger up and the play is still going.
Wow.
So I was like, I love that fact that he was mocking him during the play as he still had the basketball. So Dikembe Mutombo, is no longer with us, battled with brain cancer, but another guy who I think was an ambassador for basketball, globally with continent of Africa, what he's been able to do, and you see the rise of African-born players in the NBA. a lot of that is attributed to people like him. Manute Bol was another guy back in that day, that era that brought in just this fervor of basketball. We talk about 90s basketball, and we might even get a chance to mention that to Todd today, because I know he was a big Phoenix Suns fan.
That's right.
And Jordan had a little bit to say about that, back in the day.
Yeah, and I think it would be interesting to hear his perspective on that type of player, because when you think about Ewing and Olajuwon and all these guys that, this day and age, you don't know if that even fits the way the NBA is, because you got all these 7-footers shooting threes now and draining them, and Wemby and all these things. It's kind of nuts.
It's a wild game, the NBA now, and I think it's cool to see the progression. Although the physicality in that game in the 90s, I would venture to say a little different than what we see now. So there's pros and cons to all of it. You're always going to have the debates with Jordan and LeBron and eras and those kinds of things. We all know from the 90s being who the GOAT is. But it's a sad day for sports. Yesterday, but at the same time, I think these guys will be honored well, and they left a lasting impression.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, a guy that's leaving an impression now, I want to get your take on, because we've talked about Shohei, and we saw a certain card a few weeks ago that was pretty darn good that one of our guests had. And I just wonder now what the memorabilia factor is with Shohei, and is it a time to now buy more of his stuff? And gosh, what if the Dodgers win the World Series now with him on there and getting there to be a part of it? But he got 50-50, and Acuna last year, of course, goes 40-70, but gets hurt, and then his stuff starts to fall. So do we go get Shohei, and is there any cool stuff coming out that you've heard of for the 50-50?
I'm thinking about it in my head, should I be getting more? Should I sold some Shohei, just 2 weeks ago, and I think about how much those cards are worth just now. The question always goes back to with Shohei is the conversation now has transferred, I believe, from one of the greatest current players to one of the greatest all-time players.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if that's the conversation that people are having, and that's the recognition he's getting, then I think you have to say, well, if he can stay healthy, whether or not he pitches again or not, those kind of cards, the memorabilia, are going to be worth a lot of money down the line. Now, will he pull a Tom Brady and sign a bunch of stuff still, and those kinds of things when you retire? But how many World Series could this guy potentially win? He's on an organization that's got the money to always be a contender, right? Big market, and he's in a huge market, so you have massive amounts of people want his cards. And on top of all that, people don't talk about this enough, but the Asian market for baseball cards is huge. They love baseball cards, and so just think about Japan, Korea, all the different teams and how they collect. I sell a ton of Ohtani to Asian collectors, and so there's a world there where I think if you just think about it from a market, not a bad investment. His stuff is very high right now. There is a new set coming out, Jeff, which I think you'll like. They announced it a couple days ago. Topps Dynasty Black is what it's called, and it's going to be this high-end product Dynasty, which is 1 card per case. Typically, you get 5 boxes in it, 1 card per box, 5 cards per case. But they're going to make a iteration of that's going to be an even higher end product. And they obtained the batting gloves and one of the MLB logo mans from his pants from that game.
Oh, no way.
So not only will you get the opportunity to pull one of the cards of course his autograph, but then you have actually from the game when he went 50-50. So there's something quite unique in that, right? And I think Topps is pushing the envelope where they're creating these kind of elements of putting game used memorabilia inside of cards that if you have it, you have that logo man. There's only one of those from his pants, right? He didn't change the pants during the game. Maybe he did, but I don't think
Baker
he
did last week.
Baker did, yeah. there may be some of that going on, but it's very limited amounts. And so the batting gloves that he wore during the game to go 50-50, I think those kinds of pieces will have lasting value, and I don't think Ohtani's going anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to see his run. It's amazing to see that beginning of the season, people were wanting to, kick him out of the league and, all the stuff with the gambling to where he's at now to hit 50-50. He really has, I think, risen above.
Well, you know what else is amazing is your world traveling, or at least in the United States. I mean, to Cleveland, New York, and South Carolina, and then Jacksonville. You've been all over the place lately. It's up, down, back, forth, all over. It's good you get to at least hang out with me once a week. You gotta be tired.
Yeah, I get tired a lot. I guess I drink. My mom's English. She's brought me up on tea, so that's my life juice is English tea with milk and sugar. But to go back, just thinking about the card show circuit, there's ways that you can exasperate yourself, and then there's ways that you can do it and not. And I think we're at a balance in between that. And I think next year we'll make some decisions on how many shows we actually do, because it is very draining. It's also a resource suck because you're taking a team of people that can be in the shop, that can run breaks, that can buy cards, that can sell cards, that can grade cards, all these things that we could be doing. You're not taking these people to a show. On the flip side, there's an inventory, sourcing element that we can gain from these shows. There is selling element. There's marketing to gain new customers. So the Jacksonville Card Show was this past weekend. It was called the Duval Card Show the first time they held it. We were in the same hotel that I think the Jaguars visiting team comes in for their the room we were in was where they do their prep work, I guess, like for the week before. So nice. It was kind of a cool event. Great turnout. But I will say this, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes cards were like gold. I mean, I don't know what it is. People were just buying them up left and right. There were some really expensive high-end sales that I saw happen at the show. We sold a lot of Mahomes. We purchased a lot of Mahomes. Again, Rashee Rice is out. We know looks like he tore his ACL, but still people believe, I think, in what he could potentially do this year. So it's going to be fun to watch this ride because they're going to face some adversity. I mean, they already are, right? With Pacheco out, and now who knows how long Rice is out. Hollywood Brown, is he going to play? Like all these things that we see. But then there's the Josh Allen factor. Is this the year the Bills make that run? And I think a lot of people preseason would have said, no Diggs, no Davis, they're going to stink. They're looking awesome, right? They take a big L this past week against Baltimore. Baltimore's again another solid team, but again, I do think that there's something going on there with the football quarterback prospecting.
Yeah, how about Derrick Henry's day? Gosh, he's like rejuvenated things too. I wonder. So that's what he's been in the league more than 10 years now. Yeah. Like, would you? As not even a guy that we talk about
right. As a running back.
So. Could it, if it's he leads the league in rushing now as a 50-year-old?
Sure.
Like, do those cards go up?
Yeah, I mean, running backs are very unique, right? I look at Derrick Henry right now as kind of like Adrian Peterson from 07 to like 13, 14 time frame, right? Where dominant, couldn't stop him, nobody wanted to tackle him, highlight plays. You kind of see that kind of parallel happening now. And again, AP kept himself in shape. Derrick Henry has kept himself in tip-top shape as a running back. Nobody would have thought this, and it's amazing to kind of see. So his card value will increase on some of those rare cards. He doesn't have a lot of cool rookie card autographs, so if you can find those, may not be a bad thing. The thing I would say is how far do you see Baltimore going, right?
Yeah.
Because it does usually parallel if they can make that run. So AFC is going to be fun this year. And then NFC, man, my Bucks. Killing it. Baker.
Keep going.
Shout out Baker.
Yeah. Give a lot of credit to Baker. But, gosh, the three best teams in that division or in the NFC might all be in the same division. Green Bay, Minnesota, and what Detroit did last night.
Yeah, you can't knock out NFC North because that's a strong division.
Yeah.
The gimmick play last night with Jared Goff catching a touchdown. He didn't throw an incomplete pass.
18 for 18.
It's amazing. So I don't understand the QBR, how he wasn't perfect. I was looking at that. It wasn't a perfect rating. So
yeah, the highest of his career, at least. So
yeah.
Made a difference. All right, we are on a high because we've got Todd Golden coming in studio. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back and bring in the men's basketball coach at the University of Florida. We'll rip some packs, maybe a LeBron or maybe a Wemby or maybe a Jordan or something cool in those packs.
I don't know about if there's a Jordan in those packs, it'd be pretty cool. Yeah,
would that be good?
Yeah.
Maybe so. You got to come back to find out here on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans. All right, we welcome you back to the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Jeff, Jameel, and now our guest today, Todd Golden, Florida basketball coach. And, we talk so much about just having fun and enjoying it and understanding the hobby. And Todd and I are similar in age, so we were really cool in collecting all those cards in the early 90s that aren't worth anything because they made 8 million of them. But we had fun doing it, and this is going to be fun because You see what this Florida basketball team does out on the floor. They have a lot of fun. This guy epitomizes all of that. So, Todd, let's start there. Year 3 now, which is kind of nuts to think about. Last year, a lot of transfers come in, a lot of different dudes you're trying to mesh and make work. And, I think year 1, you figured some stuff out, get into the league and what it was all about. But, I think year 3's got to be fun for you because there's probably some continuity. You've got some dudes that have been there, done that. You get them to come back, and you sprinkle in a few new dudes. But that's got to be fun to just to have kind of your staple now on this program.
You said the key word there with continuity. First of all, our staff. We've been fortunate enough to keep our staff together now, going into year 3, which is huge. And we have 5 guys coming back that were really impactful players in our rotation last year, and that was an issue for us going from years 1 to 2. As you said, I think in year 1 we figured out some things that we were doing well, weren't doing so well that we needed to adjust going into last year. But we brought in 9 new guys, 9 out of 13 on scholarship. And so there wasn't a lot of comfort, and we had to do a lot of teaching, trying to do everything we could to get these guys on the same page. And the results on the floor were pretty good. Won 24 games, went back to the NCAA tournament, had a very high-scoring team. But I am really excited about this continuity piece going into this year. I think we're further advanced right now than we were last year. And obviously the league is really, really difficult. It's going to be a challenge, but that continuity should carry us to have a successful season.
So, Todd, a lot of people may not know, but you love cards.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to, a quick backstory is I get a guy coming from the back. I'm in the back room, and he comes from the back. One of the guy works in the shop, and he goes, I think Todd Golden's in the shop, getting basketball cards. I said, really? And I think you just left. So then, again, comes back again, and we have another guy named Tim, the shop. He tells me, he was so cool just talking to Todd. Basketball, cards, and basketball, just in the shop.
Yeah.
And so it's a cool community in the sense that we have Coach Golden in the shop. So I want to know a little bit about kind of what your love of basketball, where did that originate from? Because you obviously played, coaching now, where that came, and then also how does that permeate into card collecting?
Yeah, it's my father played freshman ball back at UMass back in the day. He was a year below Julius Erving at UMass. Wow. So, he had some great competitions and battles in practice. And then when my dad was, supposed to move up, obviously he wasn't going to get any time with Dr. J there. So he ended up kind of pivoting and going down the path of law school, which, and became an attorney for many years. But that, he got basketball into my life at a very early age. And just from I was super fortunate. He used to take me to Suns games when I was little, growing up in Phoenix, Arizona, and just at the Jewish Community Center growing up, going to play there all the time. And that was really kind of where my love for basketball, began. And the card collecting, I feel like, was kind of that natural progression of just becoming a big fan of the NBA at that time, and then all other sports, Major League Baseball specifically as well. But, I just remember there was a store growing up called Umpire's Choice. That was the name of the card shop on 16th Street in Camelback, about, 8 minutes from my parents' house. And, if I was well behaved, my parents would give me usually like $10 every 2 weeks to go in there and rip some packs. And as you all know, generally leaving disappointed. You don't pull anything that you're super excited about. But, it was just a great hobby. And I'm very analytical. We're very analytical the way we run our program. Obviously, with all the stats and all the numbers on the back of most trading cards, that was something that I was really drawn to at a young age as well. Yeah. And, as we said earlier, just in the early 90s, kind of collecting that era of basketball and baseball, and then taking a hiatus. And really when COVID hit, that was kind of when we jumped back in and really kind of started to filter through our collection and see what we had.
Well, and it's crazy you say the word analytical. We're going back and forth on these words now. Because, I think that's the way that I was, too, and that's how I loved it and got into it. And you do read the backs, and you see the stats, and you open newspaper, and you read the box scores and exactly how all this stuff worked. And, I know you do that with the program, but, is it just because, I'm this big dorky guy when it comes to sports, and I know you're probably, kind of that same way. So it's got to be fun to just then even maybe take some of that stuff and incorporate it into the program, because there's so many things that are right there, and you can take as much as you want or certainly scale back. But do the kids get into that? Like when you tell them, hey, this happens 80% of the time if you do this, are they buying in?
Yeah, it's honestly it's a huge part of who I am as a basketball coach, who I am as the CEO of Florida basketball. And really who I've been since I played at St. Mary's College back in the early 2000s. Randy Bennett and Kyle Smith kind of my two mentors, along with Bruce Pearl in the coaching profession. Randy's still the head coach at St. Mary's, where I played 23 years later. Kyle just got the Stanford job, so he's the head coach at Stanford now. And those guys were super analytical, and we did a lot of things with numbers in terms of evaluating back then in-house with our roster. And it just made sense to me. I was not a good reading comprehension guy growing up. All right, I was more of a math guy, and so the numbers spoke to me a little bit. And one of the things that I think we do a really good job of here at Florida, and previously at San Francisco, is being really analytical, but being able to articulate it in a way to the players and to the team that makes sense. Because to your point, if I'm sitting there and I'm like, hey, that shot, is efficient, 72.6% of the time, and they're going to look at me like I'm crazy and I have three eyes on my head. So we really try to simplify it in a way where we're getting our analytical message across, but not doing it in a way where we lose guys, or lose the forest through the trees in what we're trying to get. So, we're big believers in process over result. We're big believers in the numbers tell you the truth a lot more than your eyes sometimes, and that's just kind of how we go about running our program.
You mentioned analytics before we started. We were talking a little bit about Sam Presti coming through the shop, and you have history with Sam and a good relationship. And for everybody at home who's watching and listening, these basketball coaches are and guys in the system are analytical people. Like sure. they are chomping numbers and they are going after cards. Sam came by the shop during COVID, and he was asking me questions about cards, and we've talked about cards. So it's really fun to just kind of see that how your guys' minds work. But you brought some cards. Speaking of that, with us, and we're gonna look at some of these for a second here. But I also want to ask you. I know I love seeing you and Jacob just chase certain things. Like you come and you ask about a box. Like, what am I looking for in this? What should I be getting this? And you got into baseball and like Bowman Chrome University, Bowman Draft, all these kind of things. That might be the answer. But I wonder if you have a favorite kind of product that you like to rip with your son. And we can get into some of this too. I actually even brought a box of Phoenix basketball, so maybe we'll open up some packs
Love
as well.
It. Yeah.
So yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, I think, for Jacob and I, it was really about a year or two ago after moving here where I was like, that was about the age in which I started collecting. And he loves sports a ton, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, you name it, soccer. He's playing every sport under the sun. And so initially it took him a little bit, and I was, trying to get into it, and then it just naturally he got more and more excited about it. And I go back to just this past spring, Final Four weekend, we were in Jacksonville on a quick little family vacation, and there's a cool card shop out there that we stopped by, and he had a couple boxes, and we just got there in time. He was supposed to close at 5. We got there at 4:30. He was closing up. I'm like, hey. So we went in there. Jonathan Sapphire was also with us, one of my staff members, and so we just bought a couple boxes to rip that night. And in the Bowmans, whether it's university, the different sports, those have been what Jake and I would say, kind of enjoy ripping the most, whether it was trying to chase the Wembys or the Caitlin Clarks, Angel Reese's, whatever it was. And then in the baseball, trying to get the Skeens and the Wyatt Langfords and guys like that. I personally like the NBA Select from last year. I thought it was a really good product with the Wemby rookies and everything like that. We really enjoyed kind of ripping some of those. But for Jake specifically, I know for him his favorite pull was the Caitlin Clark.
So let's see this thing.
Yeah, the green auto here. You'd do a better job kind of describing what exactly that is.
Well, tell me about so when he opened this, what happened?
So we got a box and we're ripping it. We're opening it up, and he goes, "Daddy, we got a Caitlin Clark," and he shows it to me. And I go, well, that's more than just a Caitlin Clark. That's auto, obviously green. I think it's numbered out of 99.
Yeah,
there.
8 and 99.
And so that right there to me was a big win for the evening, going through that. And I think out of that same box, we got an Angel Reese auto as well, which was like a crazy lucky hit. Wow. But yeah, like just that right there, when he saw that, I think that kind of opened his eyes. Like, man, this is awesome. Like it's almost like playing the lottery every time I open a pack. Yeah. And so we really got into that, that product specifically. And now for him, I think we'll kind of wait and see what the NBA products are like this year, and I'm sure he'll want to dive into those as well.
So you may not know this, but they're only making 3 WNBA products this year. I don't know why it's so little, but for Panini, the first one comes out as Origins. The last one will be Prism, but they are making WNBA Select. Okay. So they're going to have select options with Caitlin Clark and all these different options, Angel Reese, all that stuff too. She'll have autographs as well. So it'll be a fun product when it comes out. The pre-sales on this product are already like through the roof. Yeah. But you have stacks over here, and I wanted to ask you, because every collector has stacks. They make stacks. They put them up everywhere in their home. So we got 3 different stacks.
We
here.
do.
I think this one's gonna be my favorite.
Yeah.
It looks like 90s basketball.
This is the MJ stack right here. So obviously, I think this is the earliest MJ card I have. It's a 1990 Fleer. I wish I was born maybe 5 years earlier to get that rookie card. And these are just a bunch of different ones. There's a cool beam team in there somewhere.
Profiles right there.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that SP card.
Yeah, it's a sick little card right here.
These are more the classic the hoops, right?
Yep.
The Duncan over Ewing. There's the beam team.
Yeah, that's
there
a cool one right here. Just this little beam team action right here has been a good one.
See, that's when cards were good.
They're different personality. There's a couple in here, the baseball ones. I thought they maybe they're in the other one. Yeah. But a couple baseball MJ ones, which I enjoy kind of looking at. Let me see if I got them in here.
Yeah, so this beam
and as you're sitting there talking about baseball and basketball, I mean, you obviously played both too. Growing up. Better athlete, baseball player or basketball player?
Man, that was the problem. I was kind of the same in both. And I played varsity basketball as a sophomore in high school, played varsity baseball as a sophomore in high school. And I never played AAU basketball because I was always playing baseball. And then my junior year in high school, we had a great high school basketball team. We ended up winning the state championship in Phoenix, had a great run, and I had a pretty good year. And that next day, I was out for baseball practice, right? We had a doubleheader on Saturday. And I just remember sitting there, and I'm like, and I loved baseball. Like, that was probably my first love growing up. But, it was like I was at an inflection point where I could play baseball again, but I have to miss AAU for basketball. And I wasn't good enough in either to get recruited just out of high school. And so I had to make the conscious decision I had to quit baseball that year, which stunk. Like, I was really upset about it. But I had to get on that AAU circuit to attempt to get seen and get a scholarship, which I didn't even end up getting at first. I ended up walking on at St. Mary's College. But playing that AAU season was what allowed me to be seen by them and to go to St. Mary's. But I loved playing baseball. I played middle infield all throughout my early years of high school. And, we watch baseball as much as we watch basketball at home.
Yeah.
Spring training out
right.
there.
Look what he's got right there, 89 Griffey Star.
Yeah,
Do you have a favorite baseball card, like you remember from pulling at, what was it, Umpire's Choice, you said?
Yeah, Umpire's Choice was the name of the store. No, I mean, I enjoy some of these, I got, this isn't the right one, but some of these baseball ones, like the Jeter rookies.
Yeah.
This is a cool Jeter rookie, like MLB debut one that I
that
like.
one out, Jeff.
Some A-Rods. This is a cool little A-Rod
signing something
draft pick right here.
Yeah, the old chrome.
And it was just kind of the era. I have a bunch of Manny Ramirez's that were enjoyable. Oh, here's a cool MJ baseball one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This card people love because he's shooting the basketball as a baseball. So collector's choice. The was it Birmingham Barons?
Yes, that's who he played for.
He bought a bus for the team.
That's right.
Is that what he did?
Made it all good. And they still play the SEC tournament baseball.
That's right. That's right.
At that same park. And he offense, Caitlin Clark offense, and as we get back to basketball talk a little bit, we look at these analytics, and your program here, you go from, I think 100th and something in the NCAA to now all of a sudden one of the best in the country last year. So was that analytic stuff part of it? How much do you enjoy, like, if we had a clipboard here, like, just drawing
stuff up
and having just creativity?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the way I explained it, like, I would just transparently say my job's changed a lot being the head coach at Florida compared to what I had to do at San Francisco. At San Francisco, I was able to focus primarily on recruiting and coaching and not worrying a whole lot of whether it be fundraising or spending time with donors, different things like that. And obviously at Florida, it's a much bigger program, much bigger spotlight being in the SEC. And with the change of NIL, with the change of the transfer rules and everything like that, I feel like I'm way more of a CEO, in terms of the way I think about it. I'm trying to make sure I hire the best staff possible because I have to delegate a lot of the work that we do. I have great coaches that allow me to take more of like an overseeing view of what we do on the floor now. At San Francisco, I coordinated our defense. Here, I've tried to do that the first 2 years, and I feel like now it's time to let somebody else do that and let me oversee both the offense and the defense at the same time. But everything we do evaluating our program is analytical. Whether it's Ken Palm, whether it's Bart Torvik, we're just looking at the advanced metrics to see how we're doing on both sides of the ball. We're doing it to evaluate our in-house players to see who's being efficient, who's not. We look at lineup data. We look at just about everything to give ourselves the best opportunity to get it right when we have to make decisions. But I still old school do love drawing stuff up. Kevin Hovde, who's our offensive coordinator, has done an incredible job for us. we like to battle in practice sometimes, where we try to draw stuff up against each other and see if we can get easy shots or dunks, layups, or threes against each other. But yeah, I mean that's a big part of the enjoyment of coaching is both the in-house evaluating your program and also being able to still get out there and coach.
We should definitely have some enjoyment with opening some packs, I think, right now. Because
I'm for it.
you're analytical, you're working. We got to take a step back and let Coach rip into some of this. I think I have a cutter over here.
Okay.
And then
well, and as he's looking for that too, as we try to open this up, you mentioned Bruce Pearl and some of these great guys you've learned from and been a part of. What is that like having to go up against him? I mean, you guys had that great game in the O-Dome last year. I think you got the best of them.
Yes, we did.
But is it like a chess match because you know him, he knows you, like different things, or what is that process like?
Yeah, the funny thing about it is my time at San Francisco was actually really challenging that way because we were in the same league as Randy Bennett, my former coach and my alma mater, and so kind of going into my 3 years there, having to go back to where I played and go against my former coach and being in a venue where I felt very awkward, for lack of a better term, being the hated side of the team, right, or the hated side of the competition. But that definitely prepared me for going to compete against Bruce, and obviously I played for Randy and Kyle, whereas Bruce, I played for him in Israel in the Maccabi games in 2009. And then have a great relationship with his son, Steven. And we're basically family. But, competing against him was a little easier, to be honest. We worked together for 2 years. We lost a close one to him at their place year one. And to your point, we got him pretty good here, which is a great feeling. I think we're up by 30 points with 15 minutes to go in the second half. And obviously losing to them in the SEC championship was tough. But in a sense, it was great for us both to be there, especially for us being in year two. But honestly, I feel most fortunate because of the guys I've been able to learn from. Whether they're Randy and Kyle, I kind of put them together because they worked together for so long. They're very similar. Bruce is the exact opposite. They run their programs very different, and I try to kind of meet myself in the middle with my own personality sprinkled into it. But I really think that's a big part of why I've been able to get where I have coaching wise, is because I've been able to learn from those guys across the way.
All right, let's learn about what's inside these things.
Yeah, I was gonna bring Chrome Basketball University up, but we sell out of it all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's so hard to even keep. Bowman's
it.
Best was another one. It's like everybody wants it, and then of course Bronny was in a lot of that stuff, so that was like a hype chase as well. But this came out recently. I like this product because it's Chrome. It's they've got a lot of just fun elements. It's the first year that Panini ever made Phoenix. So let's all just rip into a pack here.
Great, let's do it.
And then we'll just maybe if there's any cards or
anything worthwhile
that sticks out. Love to hear what you have to say when you rip a pack.
What should we be looking for in this? Like, what are some of the good pulls?
So there's definitely like parallels. They have like these seismic, and they have these different type parallels that are numbered, and the rookies obviously. So Wembanyama, but they have the rookie patch autos that you're looking for. Assure and Amen. With basketball, we don't have Victor Wembanyama because of the Topps licensing thing. So you're looking for a lot of the rookie autos. I think this one has 3 hits per box, so I think it's 2 memorabilia and 1 autograph, or 2 autograph, 1 memorabilia. So we'll see what we hit here.
All right.
Man, Chris Middleton, that guy. I don't think he's even practicing yet. Bucks in trouble. Got a Luka.
Nice.
First pack, guys.
Oh, jeez.
You can suck it.
Rookie.
Not bad.
He wins.
Yeah, done.
You win. Anthony Edwards.
Ooh, that's cool. That's like a little, let's just say detonation on it.
What is that?
And I mean, and he obviously, I mean, we saw him take over and
he's
the
a beast.
Olympics.
He's a guy that I would consider as someone to kind of make that next jump.
Sure.
He kind of did it last year, but I can see him doing it again. Nothing crazy over here. Little Wendell Carter numbered.
So what do you think about like Wembanyama when you see like a guy like that, like just the freakish nature of this player? Like when you see that and you think about the intangibles and you think about all the analytics, like.
Yeah.
What is his like? Do you think this guy's gonna be top 5 all time? I mean, if he can stay healthy, like this is the next generation of like types of players.
No question. I mean, he's definitely I would say the highest ceiling prospect since LeBron. Coming out of the draft, and I think LeBron was 03. The thing with Wemby that I think is unique is a lot of times, and we've seen this over the last 20 years, there's guys that get all sorts of hype, but they can't reach it, right? They never reach that potential. Whereas for me, he's super unique because he did it all the way through his youth career, whether it was playing for France in the FIBA events, playing in that French league for the Metropolitans his last year before he got drafted. And then what he was able to do as a rookie, being as young as he was with his frame being so slight still, he was very, very productive. It wasn't like he came in with bad like Alex Sarr, for example.
Sure.
I thought, I'd be nervous if I were the Hawks with him. Like his numbers were terrible in summer league, and like, it's not a big sample size, but it's also not nothing. I'd be, whereas Wemby came in, he dominated summer league. Rookie of the year. I can't remember if he got defensive player of the year, but he averaged 3 or 4 blocks.
I mean, Gobert
got it. But that won't last very long. I mean, he definitely is a guy that I think we could look back on, in 15 years and be like, yeah, like he's everything people expected him to be. He was worth the hype early on. He's a guy. I know, like when we talk about value in card collecting, like I'm not sure that. Like he to me is like Google of stocks. Like like the value's already really high. Like people understand but he's also so good that I think you hold him like it's just going to continue to go up. And that's why I purchased one of his.
You got it there.
Let me see if I got this thing. Where's this bad boy? But he's a guy that again I think we'll look back on and be really excited about in the future. So where did I put that thing? It's here somewhere.
Jeff might have put it in his back pocket.
Yeah.
Where did we put
it? We had it out.
Yeah, it's here somewhere.
It's probably in there.
There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, but here you go.
PSA 1010.
1010 auto.
The kids will call it, Coach, they'll call it a PSA 20.
Is that what we call it?
Yeah,
we call it these days?
So double dime, they say sometimes. So this is a Wembanyama first autograph, the base auto, which to me is one of the most unique cards for him because he doesn't have anything licensed in any jersey outside of this card.
Right.
So some people are saying, is this his true rookie card? Is his draft day Topps Now card, which he was in a suit, his true rookie card? Is the Topps Chrome card that came out that has a rookie card symbol on his true rookie card?
But no jersey, right?
Right, no,
yeah,
but
no
it's
licensing.
not licensing.
Right.
So when you look at this card, and I think this is really his college autograph rookie card. You know what I mean? And I think it's got the first Bowman insignia on there, which Jeff knows a little bit about that with the baseball first Bowman. So great. And I think that card, the value on these cards, they started to trickle down in the offseason, and now they're starting to pop back up. And you mentioned hype. So hype is such a big thing in cards, but for someone to live up to their hype, number one, is usually impossible. So LeBron did it, Wembanyama's done it, and not many others. Like you think about people like Zion, right? Like,
question.
No knock on Zion, but to keep that value, right, over time in cards is saying something. So
even look at, you mentioned Luka. The ups and downs of him, like the great year, and then all of a sudden gets hurt, playoffs don't work out, and then just the value goes up and down so much.
It's so hard to be good, right? And I think of like a guy like Ja Morant, who I assume was so hot, and then obviously has some off the court issues, and so his stock probably drops a little bit, and I think for him, Wemby, obviously the talent's there. I think he's an incredible person. Like off the court, if you ever watch him get interviewed, he's incredibly smart. Like he's taking care of his body. He's trying to be one of the best of all time. I think it will come down to whether he can stay healthy, right? He's 7'3", whatever, long, kind of like a unique frame. We haven't seen someone like him do it. Like LeBron's built like a truck, right? I mean, the guy's 6'9", probably 280, really 260. His frame speaks to longevity a little bit. That would be my concern with him. But I do think Wemby's doing everything he can to make sure he has a long career.
How crazy, too, is it to see the game? I mean, we mentioned Luka, but the guy before him, Dirk comes along for Dallas, and you got this 7-footer draining threes. And, when we're looking at those 90s cards, nobody was like that. You had Cartwright and Lambeer and, all these dudes in the middle that couldn't shoot a lick. But they could. So the game's evolved a bunch.
Ton.
Is it at the youth level now where they're basically taking these bigs and trying to make them dribble and do different things? Or
to an extent, I would say yes. I think obviously most sports, it's a copycat game, right? Like people are going to watch and see what the major leagues do. Moneyball back in the early 2000s, people tried to start emulating that. Basketball, back even when I was in college, the Detroit Pistons with Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace won the NBA Finals over the Lakers. And that was what many people would consider ugly basketball, right? So the game, even over the past 15 years, has shifted so dramatically to now where most NBA teams are playing with maybe one non-shooter on the court, which is generally your Rudy Gobert types, your what we call our rim rollers, screen and rollers, and rim protectors. And then if you're not that guy, you got to be able to make a shot. You got to be able to make a perimeter jump shot, or else this modern day era of NBA basketball is going to kind of squeeze you out. And I think we've seen that a lot over the past couple of years with guys like, I'll use Oscar Tshiebwe from Kentucky. National Player of the Year 2 or 3 years ago, if that was in the mid-2000s, he would have been a top 10 pick.
No question.
The guy doesn't get drafted.
He doesn't get drafted.
He doesn't get drafted. And so, but the unique thing for basketball that I would say is different is the college game is a lot different than the NBA game. And a lot of people, what does that mean? Well, there's no defensive 3 seconds in college, right? So in the NBA, a defender cannot be in the key for 3 seconds, just like an offensive player can't be. So you can't just get a guy like Manute Bol and just sit him in front of the rim anymore. Yeah. He's got to get outside the paint and get back in. In college, there's no defensive 3 seconds. Yeah. So we can own the paint defensively as much as we want. And that, to me, leads us to be willing to play different styles in college that might be more conducive for winning than a 5-out spread system. We're more old school right now with the way we play at Florida. We play a lot of bigs. We play with big guys. Now, all of our bigs are skilled. Most of them can shoot. They can dribble. They can pass. But a big reason why we do that is because we want to own the paint, both offensively, defensively, get on the glass, make sure we give ourselves second chance opportunities, everything like that. But, the game continues to change NBA-wise for sure. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these good college big men come back. Yeah. They keep coming back because they have the opportunity to make more money in college than they do in the NBA.
Yeah. Speaking of big men, we lost the big man yesterday, and I think it would be a disservice to not talk about the finger wag himself, Dikembe Mutombo, and how he really, I mean, we're 90s kids, so again, watching him in the 90s, and just with Shaq and him, just all the interactions he had with all the players that we grew up and loved, has such lasting memories. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on Dikembe, one as a player, but two as maybe an ambassador too for the game, what he's done, and as you've watched, maybe memories you've had of watching Dikembe and knowing what he's been about for his life.
Yeah, no, to your point, like he kind of came into the league probably in the late 80s, I would imagine, out of Georgetown. One of the first African-born players to really make it over to get to college. Obviously, John Thompson did a great job finding him, bringing him over, and then getting drafted by the Nuggets. One of my biggest memories of Dikembe from a young kid was one year the Seattle Supersonics were the 1 seed and the Denver Nuggets were the 8 seed, and they ended up pulling off that first-round upset, beating Seattle. And I remember him just laying on the ground, holding the basketball, being super excited. And he is a guy that could still play in today's game, but obviously would have to be the 5-man because he could always put pressure on the rim offensively. And as we remember with this, one of the best rim protectors of all time. And the thing that I think, obviously, one of the most sad things about his passing is he was a global ambassador for the game. We've seen incredible growth of the game of basketball outside the United States over the past 20, 25 years. He was a big part of that in the country of Africa. And we have a young man in our program now, Ruben Chinyelu, who was born over in Africa and played in the NBA Africa program before coming to, he went to Washington State and then transferred into us. And guys like Dikembe, one of our own, Joakim Noah, has spent a lot of time and resources and energy trying to get the game growing over there. So that's going to be something that is probably the most sad about it. And he was only 58 years old. Right. I mean, really, really sad to lose him so early. But he was an incredible personality and someone that will be remembered very fondly by the basketball community.
Yeah, definitely. Well said. That's what it's all about. Should we do a pack war?
Yeah, we should do a pack war.
You're going to win, though. You're going to win.
I wanted to show you this. So all this, Jacob's going to get all this stuff. So,
come on.
Yeah. But you actually hit a Edwards that was numbered out of 125. Yeah. So, I mean, we've hit some good cards so far. There was a red in here as well out of 199. So we'll do another pack here. Yeah. So we'll do a pack war. Let's go, let's say the lowest number card. So on the back from the base set wins the pack war. All right. Okay. So you can pick your pack carefully here. Is that the one? Is that the right one? We're going to switch it up. You didn't feel that one? Okay.
This one feels good.
That one feels good?
I feel good about it.
So we had a pack war. We had a rip night the other. We had the whole shop do this at once. So we had about 70 people in the shop doing pack wars, which is pretty wild.
I love it.
Another fun way. I said lowest, right?
You did.
The lowest.
You get like number one. You already got it.
We're just looking for the on the back.
Yeah,
here.
on the back.
Got a nice little auto here.
Ooh, who you got?
Caleb Martin.
Caleb Martin for the Heat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good player.
Interesting
Coached
team.
against him when he was at Nevada.
LeBron numbered.
Ooh.
Out of
LeBron numbered.
49.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a great card.
Little white. So guys, I'm sorry. I got number one. I don't know how this happened, and it's a Phoenix Sun.
Of course it is. It was
Kevin Durant.
Just
turned about that.
So there we go.
Yeah, my lowest is 14.
Yeah,
was that LeBron? So
that LeBron's sweet though.
I'm not close. I'm not close.
This is a good box actually so far.
Speaking of not being close, I always wonder this because you talked about your college days and you married somebody that was an athlete as well.
Yes.
Like, are you even close to her athletically? Like, or she would just dominate you?
Dominate.
Yeah.
No, it's what? It's funny because she, my wife Megan, was a very good volleyball player at St. Mary's. She was freshman of the year in the WCC, ended up being a part of the only team I think that ever won the conference there. Played in 2 NCAA tournaments, and she honestly great volleyball player. But I think, and I'm biased, but I think she could have played basketball in college. She's a really good athlete that way. I've tried to get her out playing a little golf. She's not as excited about that, but she's picked up tennis and she's gotten really good at tennis in a short period of time. But here's my hope. My hope is that Jacob and Madison, our 2 kids, get her athleticism and her family's athleticism over the years, and my hand-eye coordination. And if they do that, then they might have a chance. Combo. They might have a chance. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's awesome to hear. So, I mean, Coach, we could have you here for hours. We could sit here. I know you got to get back to work. We want to hear a little bit about some rapid fire takes on some things. So we always close out our interviews with the Titan MRI rapid fire segment. So I've kind of put some stuff together here. They might throw you for a loop, okay? Are you up for it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach is up
I'm
for
ready.
it. Of course
Let's
he is. So, all right. So I'm just going to give you a question, less than 20, 30 seconds. Give me your best answer on it, all right? So who gets the better pulls, you or Jacob?
Jacob, absolutely. He's proven that in a short period of time. Unfortunately, he's in school a lot, so I can't get him to the shop as often as I want. But you see us in there quite a bit on Saturdays and Sundays.
We'll have to get analytics on Jacob's
on
pull
the breakdown.
Rate. Yeah. We'll have to do that.
And what he takes and where it is in the box.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to analyze the kids with that. All right, a Viking, a Gale, or a Gator?
Oh man, a Gator for sure wins that. But the Gale is an interesting mascot. I don't think a lot of people know what it is. It's an Irish knight.
Irish person,
an Irish knight. I have that in common with Walter Clayton. He was a Gale before he became a Gator at Iona. So that's pretty neat. And then the Sunny Slope Vikings, man. We go back. We have pride in our Vikings, but I'm gonna go with the Gators for sure.
Okay, I like it. I did some research on this. It's Sunny Slope, right?
Sunny Slope.
Sunny Slope High School. Yeah. All right. Favorite memory playing in the Israeli Basketball Premier League.
Wow. I would say my favorite moment playing was my first year. There was like a mid-season tournament, similar to what the NBA does now, like the NBA in-season tournament, and we made it to the championship game. We were playing in Tel Aviv against Jerusalem, and a bunch of the Jerusalem, it was a packed, probably 10,000 people at this game, and a bunch of Jerusalem fans had big drums in there and started lighting fires in the arena during the game. And so they're very passionate. It was going nuts. I wasn't playing much at this time, so I was just kind of looking out there. I was like, damn. I was like, these people care a lot. But the venue was amazing. It was a great 2 years. But getting to play in Tel Aviv's arena against Jerusalem was a pretty cool moment.
Well, and speaking of playing, is there a Todd Golden random card out there? Did they
No.
ever give you a basketball card?
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, not.
We'll have to talk to Panini. Get some licensing on that for Todd Golden. All right, 92-93 Suns. Is that the best Suns team ever assembled?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a. I was actually at Game 6 when Paxson hit the 3 on the kick out, and that's stuck with me for a long time. But that was an incredible team. It was the first year after we traded for Charles Barkley. Mm-hmm. We moved from the Madhouse on McDowell, where the Suns used to play, into what was at the time America West Arena. Now I think it's called Footprint Arena or something like that. Yeah. So the first time in the new arena. And it was just an incredible season. I think they went 62-20 in the regular season. Yeah. Even, I think, lost the first 2 games at home against the Lakers in the first round of a 5-game series. Oh, wow. Ended up having to go to LA to win 2. We won Game 5 at home. Kind of rolled through the rest of the playoffs until the championship. And, MJ was just a little too much for us back then.
The MJ factor, man, back in the 90s. He'll get you. All right, how about a good dunk or a good block?
For me?
For you.
The funny thing is, I never had a dunk in a game, but I did have a dunk one time in a pickup game back at St. Mary's College. This was my junior year, and it was kind of the perfect storm of catching the outlet pass in the perfect spot, having 3 clean dribbles, kind of getting down into the paint, and then one of my taller teammates kind of running under me as I was jumping and kind of rode me into the rim and slammed it. And I do remember my coach, Randy Bennett, was watching at the time, and he just walked out of the gym. And he's like, dude, I don't really believe I just saw that. But it wasn't on tape or anything, so it's just kind of a memory that I have with some good buddies. But and I think I blocked maybe 5 or 6 shots in my career, so none of them were that exciting.
So Wesley Snipes would have been proud of the dunk.
White man can't jump.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Love that.
You got it.
Todd's got it. He can jump. So you mentioned it before with Megan just being a supreme athlete. Do you think you could return one of her spikes?
No, absolutely, and I won't try.
You won't even try.
No, my son will be stubborn. As he gets a little older, he's 8 now. He has probably an inflated level of self-confidence right
Sure,
now, you know, as most 8-year-olds do.
Yep.
And so like he likes to talk smack to Megan sometimes, but he doesn't understand like what her game was really like.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for her to kind of take him to the gym one time and let him have it a little
Humble.
bit.
The
Yeah,
humility
exactly.
moment. The
That's
humility
right.
moment. All right, so we're a Jordan Brand school.
Yep.
Have you got like a favorite pair of kicks that you might have gotten, or that you've seen? You're like, man, I really need a cop pair of those.
Yeah, I love the cool gray 11 Jordans. I wear those quite a bit for games. You know, it's just a good kind of classic, clean look, especially with the blue that we have. I have a bunch of different 4s. The 4s are good, and I don't the ones. I got some classic ones on right here.
Look at
Actually, some Florida Gator
Get 'em.
ones.
Oh,
right here.
man,
Look at
check
that.
those out.
These are nice.
Those are
You know, so I keep it kind of consistent to those, but the cool gray 11s are ones that I would say are probably my favorites.
Okay, all right, we're getting there. Would you rather pull a nice on-card autograph, say like a Wemby card like that, beautiful on-card autograph, or a one-of-one non-autographed?
It's a great question. I'm going to answer this by saying I would prefer the auto if it's a cool-looking auto.
Okay.
You know, and that's probably one of the kind of lesser analytical ways to think about. But, like, you know, I was looking at getting some Marvin Harrison Jr. cards because he's playing for the Cardinals.
Yep.
He's having a good rookie year. But I just don't like the way he signs cards. I want to – not only do I want the card to have value potentially, but I also want to enjoy it, right? Like, and so – I actually gave Colin Castleton a really hard time. I don't know if you guys have seen
his autograph.
his you know, his first Bowman auto, and I texted it to him like, bro, you got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
I was like, because there was some tweet or something on Instagram that said this might be the worst on-card auto of all time. So I was giving him a hard time about it, but I definitely, you know, I'm a big auto guy. You know, cards that I'm trying to collect, like, you know, we talked about this Wyatt auto,
That's
the
clean
Wyatt
looking,
Langford,
very good.
101, auto 10, the Skeens 10-10 auto, really like that. Got some Kylers on card auto. This one, he's not playing very well yet, but Caleb Williams on card auto.
That's his first Bowman auto too.
Bowman
PSA
auto.
10.
You know, so the ones that you know, strategically collecting like those, I like the autos, but I only have like one of one that, and it's just no good. It's like a Will Levis 1 of 1, and he
Did win last night, but they also played a Jeff's
and it
Dolphins.
wasn't really
game.
because of him either.
he
you know?
hurt.
It was.
He puts mayonnaise in his coffee.
That's right.
Those guys in Lexington.
But
I'll
yeah,
tell you.
so if I guess it was the right guy, the 1 of 1, but the autos, I really do enjoy the autos.
Is there, you know, a guy maybe you've coached against and you've seen him on the floor, then he eventually gets a card? Do you try to collect some of those, or just people like you know, some of the guys you've coached?
There's one, the one guy from last year, I would say, that just enjoyed competing against them that I think is gonna have a good rookie year is Reed Shepard from Kentucky.
Yeah.
He's a good kid, and you know, met his dad in Vegas this summer. So I got a couple of his card autos here. One of them is a one out of 199.
Yeah, that's the lava, I think.
The lava,
Yep.
yep, lava refractor.
Yep.
This one's just straight first Bowman auto. But you know, so he's the only one from last year. I got Elijah Martin actually has a Bowman first from the last set that he signed for Jake, which is pretty cool. And then I'm trying to get Walter and some of my other guys to work on deals so they can get in those Bowman sets. Riley, obviously, he's not with us anymore. Had a couple cards in that set last year. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really neat. Jake loves that part of it. You know, ripping some of the older Bowman universities and seeing guys that are now in the NBA and seeing them in their college uniforms. Like he thought it was crazy that there's like a Bo Nix Auburn card, right? And so like he knows him as the quarterback at Oregon, right? But like Bo was at Auburn for 3 years before. So just going through those is pretty neat looking at it with him.
Well, it sounds like Coach Golden's going to be coaching the players on how to autograph. Is what it's going to be.
They need to at least
you see him
give me
sign their
something.
stickers. Be like, yo, guys,
give me
redo
something.
that.
Like you're not
No
that
lines.
cool. Like you know, put a little bit of personal flair into it. You know,
a little fun story. You're talking about Reed Shepard. Shout out to. I mean, there's a Lexington connection here because we beat them and we're up last year. Got to roll on that. But one of the best card shops in the nation is called Kentucky Roadshow, and it's a buddy of mine named Jimmy Mahan, and he had Reed in his shop when they were signing the autographs, and he actually got, I think it's the serial number of his dad's jersey number on one of the cards. He actually wrote "Hey Dad" on it, and then they found it recently and they got it back for him.
How cool is that?
It's really, really cool. Like just the ability to get these guys in shops, and we're going to be doing some more that stuff with Topps down the line, where we can actually make this more than just a sticker autograph. Right?
Yeah,
So
right.
Making this more personable, and I think that's where the hobby needs a little bit more. All right, 2 more questions. 83.2% from the foul line in college, Coach Golden.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who wins a Pop-A-Shot? Because this guy is pretty intense. You were Jeff Cardozo.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah.
Pop-A-Shot, you might have me. But here the reality is, like, on the court, 10-foot hoop. That's one thing that not even a lot of the guys on the team can get me at. So, like, I'm not as fast as I used to be or as athletic, but I can still shoot it a little bit. So up for a free throw competition anytime or 3-point.
You got that.
Jeff's like, I've given up on that one. All right, last one. What gets Todd Golden juiced up about coaching the Florida Gators men's basketball team?
Honestly, going back to a couple years ago, it all happened so fast. But interviewing here, was fortunate to interview at 3 other SEC programs as well, all good programs. But when Scott called, the history and tradition, to me is what stands out the most.
Yeah.
When I was in college playing, guys like Torian, Al, Joakim, Corey Brewer, Lee, that group was winning back-to-back national championships. Yeah. So I saw it firsthand, and always was really drawn to the program because of that. And then you add obviously the Jordan brand, you add the location, you add just being a part of the SEC. I think it's one of the best places to be in college basketball. And so when the opportunity became real, Megan and I were like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. Like, let's sprint there. Let's get there as fast as we can. And it's, for me, it's trying to get this program back to where, Billy had it. And obviously much easier said than done. Now Coach Hurley has won back-to-backs. So I would have said it probably couldn't be done. He proved that wrong. Yeah. But Billy had this thing at an incredibly high level, right? And Mike did a pretty good job in terms of consistently making the tournament, but after year 2, never really broke back through. And for me, I think we, as a program, we have a great understanding of the expectation. I think people were proud and excited of the growth we made last year getting back to the tournament, but we know that first round exits and first weekend exits aren't what makes this fan base who they are. Doesn't make Florida what it is. And so, we feel the pressure in a good way of trying to make deep runs here and get back to the Sweet 16, get back to the Elite 8, hopefully Final Fours, easier said than done. But the key that I keep trying to explain to my staff and our program, and I think our guys have a great understanding of this, is you can't necessarily build to make the national championship game. You have to be the best you can be every day. You got to raise your floor so stinking high that you give yourself the best chance, and then you got to catch some breaks too. Yeah. Whether it's a good first or second round matchup that allows you to get to the Sweet 16, whatever it may be. But I do think our process is getting there, and I think we will have a higher floor this year than we did last year, and I expect us to take another jump. But it ain't easy. Yeah. It ain't easy. Our league's getting better and better, and I think that challenge is continuing to get stronger and stronger. But I'm pleased with where we are. I'm not satisfied. I don't think anybody is, and I think these next couple of years will be really formative in terms of how far we can go.
Yeah, well, continue to build it, and like he says, it's really, really hard to pull it off. Only one team gets to win it all. Gosh, we know that from Omaha.
That's right.
All these times, and just you have better teams and they don't win because you don't get a break or something just doesn't go your way. But yeah, keep grinding and keep making it happen. Well, you look good in the Gator stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So his team's going to look really good this year. So get out there, support Todd Golden and the rest of the crew. Basketball season right around the corner. Todd, thank you, man.
I appreciate you guys having me. This is fun.
Yeah, totally awesome. And congrats on getting all the sweet cards and keep it up. All right, back with another segment of the Meelypod Hobby Podcast right after this.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
This is Jameel, owner of the Meelypod shop, Gainesville's home for collectibles of all sorts, including every single type of sports cards, whether it be Panini, Topps, Leaf, Upper Deck. We have it. Come on in, get yourself a box, a pack, get yourself some supplies, get into our breaks, get your Pokemon, get your Yu-Gi-Oh! All the other different kinds of TCG products that we carry and shop are always fully in stock. You can find our stuff on our website as well, meelypops.com. That's another way you can interact with the store, or you can just come into the shop. We're located off 39th Avenue by I-75 behind Walgreens and Sonny's. Stop on by. We're open every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can check us out on our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'd love to see you. Come on out to the shop, have some fun, be a part of the card community here in Gainesville, and always go Gators.
All right, we welcome you back. Jeff and Jameel still here in the podcast room. No more Todd Golden, but fun talking to him. A lot of different things, and I mean, I love seeing those early '90s cards. I know I've got some of those that he had. It's just it's sad that they're not worth anything, but it's still fun to look back on that.
He had a few, though. Those Jordans, he had a beam team, and he had some cool cards that I think are sneaky with the high grades and stuff. So the cool thing with Todd, I was looking at his stacks, is he's got all the different colored top loaders, so some of those top loaders from back in the 90s, and he's a true collector, right? So it'll be fun to kind of sit with him sometime and Jacob and go through how to grade some of those cards as well, to preserve them for generations.
And that's the neat part about what Jameel does inside the shop. If you have some of those cards, or if you're like Todd and you find them in the garage and you're just bored one day and you say, hey, man, there might not be anything special, but you might find something special in there, and you never know, and that's where the grading, I think, from those older cards, right, comes into play.
Absolutely.
Because if it's just out there, like, there's a million of them, but if you get it graded, it's a 10, or as you guys talked about, if it's a 20, like the kids say, then it could be something cool.
PSA 1010, yeah. Just a quick story. I had a guy come in the shop, and he was going through his garage. That I think someone had passed away, or they had inherited something. It's going to the garage, and they found all these cards, but they were all stuck together because of the humidity. Mm-hmm. And so they were in pages, and they were stuck together. And he brought them in like a brick. And he goes, I was just going through something, so can you help me determine what this is? As I start to peel these, the humidity of peeling those pages. It's 1961 Fleer basketball, which is Wilt Chamberlain's rookie card year. He had 4 Wilt Chamberlain rookie cards in there, as well as all the other, all the other big names that are in that set, from Russell and all the other things. So I'm pulling them out, and I'm thinking, do you know what these are? He has no idea. So that was just a cool opportunity to resurrect those cards. We had to pull them out because they were a little damaged and stuff. But, had that, got paid a pretty penny for that stuff. And we graded those cards to get them encapsulated. They only got 1s and 2s and 3s. But at the same time, there's just still really valuable, basketball cards. So you just never really know what could be there, hiding away. Their stories keep coming out. I still hear these stories, and with the internet, we hear more and more about it, people finding these kind of treasure troves.
And speaking of the internet, if you want to tell your friends about what we're doing here on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast, so many different platforms, 39 different ones that you can cycle through and listen to us here as a podcast, or of course you want to see our ugly mugs, we're on YouTube and Facebook. All those fun things, Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, they love seeing your face on Facebook. You're the true Facebook, personality. But this ugly mug you'll have to deal with. But in regards to that, if you guys are watching the podcast or listening to it, make some comments. We'd love to hear what you guys think about things, questions. Reviews are also very helpful to grow us on things like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. But we're having a good time with this. We're up to 18, and we want to just continue to bring good guests. Speaking of guests, next week we're going to have on we've had amazing guests just this run, and I'm bringing in a very unique card shop owner in Rob Varies next week from Burbank Cards. So that'll be another really interesting interview because they are the biggest card shop in the world, and they are the biggest card shop name in the world, and they created the Burbank Card Show. I mean, so it'll be interesting to talk with him about those things, but I'm sure he would love all the new wax that's coming out as well this week. It's been like an avalanche of wax, man, these last few weeks.
When you say the Burbank Card Show, made me think of the Catalina wine mixer. So maybe it's very similar.
You have to ask him about that.
Yeah, see if that's the same. All right, you mentioned wax, and this is always a fun segment because there's always new product coming out. We just got to rip some cool stuff with Todd last segment. So what do we got this week?
Yeah, so one thing that you'll like, we have the Bowman Chrome Mega Boxes for baseball. So it's the kind of the affordable option. You're not having to pay for a hobby box. You might get an auto, you may not get an auto. That comes out this week. So that's 2024 Bowman Chrome Mega. Then we have a soccer release that my mom, my English mom, she loves. It's UEFA Champions Topps Chrome Soccer Women's. And they have, I don't know if people have been paying attention, but as we've seen the growth in women's sports in America, specifically WNBA, what's happening in Europe right now with women's soccer is probably a parallel. And so there's Alicia Lehman being kind of this figurehead. She's now a prime athlete, and all the guys like her type thing. But there's a lot of women in this league that are really creating names for themselves, and it's fun to watch. So my mom, a little English footballer that she is, loves to watch it and talk of it, and she's always asked, so I sent her some boxes of cards. But be an interesting release to see how that does. Donruss Elite Football 2024, as well as Panini Origins Football 2024. So we're starting to get into Caleb and Jaden Daniel rookie cards and stuff like that, if they're in the products. Then a big release, 23-24 Panini Noir, Noir. Basketball, it's a huge hit with high-end collectors, as well as the Asian market loves Panini Noir. I always have Chinese guys and reaching out to me, breakers, like, hey, can I buy this stuff from you? Because they need it for just ripping over there. It's a beautiful product. They create the sneaker spotlights cards in them, which people love because they show just the feet and the player.
Okay.
And the shoes that they wear in the games. They have autographed versions of that too, which people love. So that's coming out. And then there's two more 2024 Topps Knockout UFC. What I do to you in the ring, Jeff, is knock you out.
No doubt.
That's coming out, so that'll be fun. And a new release that's like Topps Museum Baseball. And then lastly, Prism Korean Soccer League is coming out as well. So a lot of releases this week. I don't have a lot of them on set, and again, I've talked about this before. A lot of stuff hasn't even delivered, and we have it Wednesday and Friday releases. So granted, there's been a lot of stuff going on with the hurricane. Shout out to our friends in Asheville and North Carolina and South Carolina and Georgia and in the Panhandle. I mean, it's a lot of destruction. So puts things in perspective. We're not too worried about it if the deliveries don't come in on time. But big week for Wax, big week of releases.
Well, you mentioned the mega box, as you called it. I guess, I wonder, because it comes out and it's hot and everybody wants it, do you still have the opportunity to get some of the good cards even in these later release boxes? Like, do they spread them out as companies to, kind of make it fair if you do it that way?
It's a great question. I think it's unknown.
Okay.
Sometimes people will say to me, Jameel, do you know that product was front loaded or back loaded? And I'm like, you really think that? You really think they put high end hits in the first 500 cases, 1,000 cases that were put out, or they waited to do that? It's a very interesting thought processy because, obviously with technology you could do that, right?
Sure.
So no one really knows. I've heard it before said that on the retail product side, sometimes the retail products will have a higher density of hits or a lower density based on how the hobby was released. So this mega box is a retail product, and so we'll see how it goes. But people swear by mega boxes. They swear by these, and they say they're better than hobby boxes. So maybe it's a regional thing,
okay.
Maybe it's a mental thing, or maybe it's a real thing. I don't know. It's a hard question. You've dug into something there that a lot of collectors think about.
Yeah, well, always thinking. That's what it is all about. All right, well, again, for those of you that were affected by the storm, we hope that everything turns out okay. Apparently there's another storm that might be hitting Florida this weekend, so gosh, it just can't really take it anymore here in the States. So wish the best for everyone out there. And I think you finally get an off weekend, right? No shows?
Yeah, we got no shows for a couple weeks. And for those listening, if you are in that Southeast region, we would love to have you October 25th, 26th, 27th. It will be the Upstate Card Show. It's our Meelypops SC kind of event that we do twice a year. We haven't announced this, so this will be news for everybody. It'll be on the socials. But Javi Lopez, Atlanta Braves World Series catcher, he's coming. He's going to be signing autographs. We will have Phil Maffa and Wesco, a couple other guys from the Clemson current football team. So as you guys know, Clemson is right up by our shop up there. So that'll be a lot of fun. It's their bye week. We're working on Adam Humphries, Hunter Renfro, and Taj Boyd. So some other ex-Clemson players to come through and sign. And then I have a good friend named Kik Stradamus who is massive in the art world, card world, shoe world, and designing, and does stuff for like NBA players. He's going to be coming and doing a product drop that's going to have actually our logo on some of the cards. So you can get these cards, buy these cards, receive these cards at the event. So it's going to be a fun weekend on top of national dealers. SGC is going to be there. We'll have people who are group submitters for PSA and CGC there. So there'll be everything you need to for a card show, stuff for kids, giveaways, and we'll just have a lot of fun. So love to see you guys in that. We have 2, maybe 3.5 weeks before that, and I'm going to try and rest before because we got that, Fanatics Fest the next weekend, and some more events in November. Of course, Thanksgiving comes around, so never ends.
Kind of crazy. So plan accordingly if you want to get up to that show. It certainly sounds like an awesome time. Well, another awesome Meelypod Hobby podcast. Again, tell your friends and family members about it if you would like to do so. We are in the Meldon Law Studio here, and again, another great rapid fire from Titan MRI. Todd Golden crushed it, as he always did. All right, for Jameel, I am Jeff. Have yourselves a great rest of the week. You've been listening to the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Thank you for joining us. We will see you next Thursday at noon.